Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. Looking at Friday in the NBA here, coming off a sizzling hot night on Thursday, up nearly 5 units on the night. So we're feeling really, really good about where we're at in the season. I'm going to go over the record and the plays that we made here on Thursday, and then get right into what I've got for Friday as well. A couple player props on the card, but also plenty of leans. And we're going to be looking at this stuff again tomorrow on the live show as always. So if that all sounds good to you, go ahead, give the video a like. Let's get right into it. Great day in the NBA here on Thursday. Hope y'all were in that live show. Had a good amount of you guys in there. So hopefully y'all tailed a lot of these great looks that we found on the live show. Everything here above basically everything that we got right outside of Jonathan Kuminga were all the plays that we put in the live show. We got Al Horford late. We got Jaden McDaniels. That was cash in the first quarter. SGA cashed in the second quarter. Cam Thomas cashed. He made us wait until the middle of the third, but he got there. Gary Trent looked like he was dead in the water, and then all of a sudden he had 2 threes made. That was lovely. Dame made us wait until the fourth quarter, until the end of the fourth quarter to get his 7th dime. Steph took just the third quarter there, hit that again. We had a ton of third quarter or first half cashes tonight that were awesome. Austin Reeves, man, the books have not caught up. There's no way we're seeing 12.5 rebounds and assists for this man at all. Again, I can't imagine we'd see that at all this season, to be honest. Even with AD out, I mean, the assists are the thing here. You got 11 dimes in this game, right? And they hadn't just picked up the fact that this dude's potential assists, the amount of touches that he had, everything had gone up. And that's a really good lesson here in how to beat the books, is when you think you found something that they have not caught up to yet, a trend or a new sort of pattern of such as Reeves being more involved in the offense, and they hadn't taken it into account yet. This is a great moment in time to hit it. So we just took full advantage of Reeves to get plus money on the 13 rebounds and assists we needed for him that he had at the half. And man, those 3-point props are brutal. And it was a really good point brought up in the VIP chat today that we were having, where, you know, one of the guys was saying how it sucks because when a guy starts out cold from 3, it impacts his ability and desire to shoot threes the rest of the game. We just saw it with Ant. He only took 6 going into the fourth quarter and then missed and then went like 1 for 3 in the fourth and had 2 total made. It just didn't even come close, and stopped pulling them and didn't take the 10 to 12 that he normally takes when he plays against the Celtics. And to be fair, the Celtics called this out, and they clearly had this in mind for a game plan, which was have your primary defender on Ant and then have a secondary defender just waiting. Whoever the closest defender is doesn't even care about the guy that they're guarding. They strictly try to get the ball out of Ant's hands, and that worked a lot for them. Toumani Camara did not come through for us on the plus money. Still not worried about it. One game that he finally goes under on the rebounds after 8 straight. It's going to happen. We're not going to fall away from it, though, because this man has too many rebound chances per game. And then Jonathan Kuminga also didn't really do much tonight. It just feels like when we bet him, man. I mean, he had 4 of his last 5 games getting double-digit rebounds, and then all of a sudden tonight he has 4 against Philly, despite the fact that that's the position where you get rebounds against Philly, which is what we talked about. So not too worried about that one, but we are now up 49.6 units on the season. So feeling really good about it all. And we're going to keep going here as we try to get over our goal of 50 units. And I just want to make one more thing clear, because we have a lot of people not a lot, but we had a couple people in the comments going, why don't you have enough picks at night? Why are all your picks coming the next day? That's how you bet on the NBA, people. I don't know what else to tell you. You have to wait for news, information, rotations, and lineups. If you don't get that information, you're just betting blindly. You're just going, oh, well, Austin Reeves has done really well recently. I think what about waiting to understand if Austin Reeves' prop is going to move one way or the other? It's not always about getting early closing line value. It's also about making sure you have the proper amount of information at your disposal to make a confident bet. So that's why we're going to be back with the live show, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, as we do every day. And we're going to be going back over this stuff and try to find those bets once we have a bit more injury news. And that's why we've been so successful this season, man. That's how we're 50 units up less than halfway through the season of the NBA, is by waiting, being patient, letting market pressure dictate things, and then pouncing on those bets right around after anytime around 5:30 p.m. Eastern and onward. So hope to see y'all there tomorrow. And if you do want to jump in the VIP, giving away a free month to anybody who does sign up for one of the sports books that you see scrolling underneath me right now, or in the description of the video, got the links to all the books that we are partners with here on the network. Use code LYB, screenshot that to me. That'll go ahead and get you a free month in the VIP. So if you screenshot at JL Boogie, Twitter or Discord, proof that you did sign up for one of these books using code LYB, will get you a free month. So let's get right into what I've got here, though, ahead of Friday. As we get into things here, kicking it off with the Hornets and the Pistons, reminder too that we're going to be using propsmadness.com here. If you do want to get in on the action with Props Madness, it's the best tool for all things NBA research, no questions about it. I definitely recommend jumping in and use code LYB. That'll get you 25% off your first month here on the GOAT product, propsmadness.com. But kicking it off with this Charlotte-Detroit game, the first thing I want to talk about is how Jaden Ivey's probably out for the season. I don't think we're seeing him again this year with the surgery that he's going to require at this point on his leg. So that sucks. But we do have Malik Beasley, and that's where I'm going right away. And this is the bet that I have down on the card right now, is over 14.5 points. We got this at minus 105, and the best number now is about minus 130 on Pinnacle, Fliff. You got Caesars minus 135, so it's not quite the same. But I told everybody in the VIP Discord when I put this bet down that I would take this at 15.5 and up to about minus 110, minus 120. I think both those numbers are good here. 15.5 points for Malik Beasley is still fine by me. We've got no Jaden Ivey, so let's just keep it simple to start. This is one of the best features here on Props Madness. You can see how a guy has performed without in games where another guy was out entirely. Jaden Ivey missed 3 games this season that Malik Beasley played in, and he is averaging 26.7 points per game in those situations. The other thing here is he's averaging 16.2 points per game on the season, regardless of who's in there. Yet we have him at a 14.5 point prop against the Charlotte Hornets, who are ranked 20th on defense. Not actually as bad as I thought they'd be, but 20th on defense. Nothing to write home about with that defense for Charlotte. Just maybe a little bit better than I actually thought they would be at like 26. They're playing slower this year. I'm still not impressed by 20th, and I'm still not worried about Malik Beasley getting his. One thing that might throw you off here is that if you look at Malik Beasley on the year, he is scoring mostly off the spot up, and this is the the 13th ranked defense in terms of limiting spot up shots is this Charlotte Hornets defense. But I don't care about that. If you look at the other thing here, in terms of the 3 points that amount of points that they're giving up from three, they're 22nd in above the break the points that they're giving up to the other team. This man is shooting 53% of his shots above the break. Like, that's where he's going to get his stuff from. If you look at the threes and you want to take that, I'm good with it too. I mean, 3.5, and it's minus 115 for him to make 4 threes. So you're telling me he's going to make 4 threes in this game, or even 3, and then just not hit any other buckets? It's just not how it works for this dude. I mean, granted, he is averaging 7.3 threes in the 3 games without Jaden Ivey here. But more importantly than just how he's playing in the games that Jaden Ivey are out, we need to look at how he does when he's on the floor without Jaden Ivey, even in games that Ivey has played this season. So you can see here, I'm pulling up Fantasy Labs NBA on-off court numbers, which we've talked about on this show before many a time, and I'm going right back to it. And what I've got here is Cade Cunningham off on the floor, Malik Beasley on the floor, and off floor I put Jaden Ivey because we know he's not playing, and Simone Fontecchio is also going to be out, so just took him off to be as accurate as possible. If you look at the amount of minutes that Cade and Malik Beasley have played together without Jaden Ivey and without Simone, it's 245 minutes this year total through 28 games that this has happened. In those games, Malik is averaging 16.4 points per game, points per 36 minutes when he's on the floor with Cade Cunningham. And by the way, he's playing 30 plus now, regardless of who's out there. He's closing games. He's in the closing lineup already. Even with Jaden Ivey healthy, Malik Beasley has been a consistent player for them in crunch time, so that you can bank on him having a few extra minutes per game without getting benched at the end of the game when we might need him to get his prop. Okay, so that's one thing. 16 points per 36, nothing too impressive here. Let's do it this way. Let's take Cade Cunningham off the court and just say, how has Malik Beasley done this year when Jaden Ivey is off court and he's on the floor? This goes up to 18.4 points per 36 minutes now that we've got him sometimes on the floor with Cade, sometimes not on the floor with Cade. But the important thing is that Jaden Ivey is not on the floor with him. Now let's take Cade and put him off court, because there will be minutes this game and moving forward where Cade Cunningham and Malik Beasley are not playing together at the same time, because Malik Beasley probably still won't start, to be honest. And maybe he will, but I still think he's going to be out there with the second unit just as much as he has been. That second unit has been actually pretty good for Detroit, and it's he and, to a degree, Oscar Thompson, although I think Oscar might start now in place of Jaden Ivey, and Marcus Sasser, those guys basically running the backup unit there with Malik Beasley, and it's been really good. So we know that Malik Beasley is probably going to stay out there, but when he's on the floor with the second unit, meaning he's not playing with Cade, he's not playing with Jaden Ivey, he's at 34 points per 36 minutes. And he's going to be out there for like 8 minutes in this game without Cade Cunningham. In those minutes, I expect him to do really, really well and get these points that you can see he's been scoring a ton of when he plays without Cade Cunningham, without Jaden Ivey, and to a degree with Cade and without Jaden Ivey. I think at this point, if he's playing 34 minutes, we've got to project him for about 18 points. So I would take this, like I said, you still have plenty of an edge if you take this up to over 15.5 points for Malik Beasley. Moving on to the Raptors and the Magic here. And I have one look for this game, and I can't really touch the Raptors stuff right now with RJ Barrett questionable, because if he plays, it's a big deal. And if he doesn't play, equally as big of a deal in terms of what we can expect from Scotty, from Emmanuel quickly. This is still a very good defense for the Orlando Magic without Franz and without Paolo. Still been really, really good. So we do want to know what's going on with RJ because of the amount of shots that he's likely to take away. We've got Emmanuel quickly back. We have Bruce Brown playing minutes now. There's just so much new. It's basically like the third game of the season for the Raptors as far as I'm concerned, because everything that's happened up to this point doesn't matter. You've got two of the best players that you were missing back in the squad here for IQ and Bruce Brown. There's not much I can do with that, especially when one of the other top three players on the team in RJ Barrett is potentially not going to play in this one. So we got to see what happens there. But I can at least go over to the Magic here and look at a couple things. And I think it's time we finally at least mention Tristan da Silva. And look, it's not Tristan's fault that this freshman class is not very good, but he's in the running here for Rookie of the Year, which sounds weird because I'm confident there's some people are like, who in the hell is Tristan da Silva? But this dude, the Rook, has been looking really, really good, especially over the course of these last roughly 8 games or so. And that's what I'm looking at here is that I believe his minutes, which we've seen here, up 32. There's been a couple down ones, but 37 versus OKC, 28 versus Miami. And I think that's where we put it. We put his floor at about 28 minutes. We put his ceiling probably at about 35, 36 minutes. So he could play, but as long as he's playing the 28, let's just start there, right? It's not just a minutes thing for him. It's also been the field goal attempts. 17 here without Franz and Paolo. By the way, Gary Harris also out tomorrow, and Anthony Black is questionable. So Tristan da Silva is probably looking at another at least 34 minutes in this game. Let's do that with him in this one here, where we're looking at his points when he plays at least 30 minutes, let's say, right? So we're putting him at 30 minutes on the season, and in the games that he's played 30 minutes, and I got to do this he's playing with everybody here. In the games that he's played 30 minutes, you can see over the course of the last 5 that he's gone over this number every time. We also get a little bit of a bump here for Tristan da Silva because of where he's shooting from. So you look at the defense here for the Raptors. They're bad in general, bad in transition, bad against the spot up, 20th there. They've given up the most free throws, the most points off of free throws in the league as well for this just bad Toronto defense. And now we're talking about Tristan da Silva also shooting from the corners. So he's scoring, I should say, 24, about a quarter of his points are coming from the corner 3. This team right here in the Raptors is in the bottom 7 in terms of limiting corner 3s overall, giving up the most in the left corner, and they're 12th in the right corner, but a corner 3 is a corner 3. And this team overall in the corner is giving up a ton. So this is where Tristan da Silva should be good to go. The other place he's scoring from predominantly is inside the paint, right? Like right next to the basket, because he's a pretty athletic sort of shooting guard / we'll call him close to a small forward, with the way he's also able to rebound. So I love his athleticism and ability to get inside the paint. I'd love him to be able to hit some of these threes. I think 2 threes is also probably an even better play because you can still get this at -129. I should be pretty clear about that. Tomorrow on the live show, we'll definitely be talking about da Silva. If I see this tomorrow, basically when I wake up at like -130 or better and market pressure hasn't moved this crazy, then I'm looking at -130 as very worth it on the 2 threes based on the specialist nature for Tristan tomorrow against this bad Raptors defense. Nice win by the C's tonight, and a lot of good sort of bets that we won out of that Boston-Minnesota game here. But let's look here at Alpi Sengun, because that's my only play right now without any of the Boston players available. We don't have the news about the injuries for them. You know, KP and Jaylen Brown both sat in this first, the front leg of this back-to-back, meaning we're probably going to see JB tomorrow, although he did have a legit shoulder injury, so I'm not sure. I do think we see Kristaps tomorrow, but I still can't guarantee all that stuff. Most importantly, though, Alperen Sengun is at 20.5 points, and I just think that's too high. And I think we might be able to get this at 21.5, but this is an under for me, and I haven't bet it yet. So for those of you yelling at me in the comments that I'm giving you bad bets, I haven't bet it yet. This is a strong lean for Alperen Sengun that I need to wait until we see what's up with Kristaps Porzingis, what's up with Jaylen Brown, but Kristaps especially, if he's not out there, there's not going to be quite the same level of defense available to guard Sengun. But that said, we're going to have Neemias Queta. We're going to have Luke Cornett. We're going to have a lot of bodies that they can throw. They just don't have as good of a defender as Kristaps. So Kristaps comes out and is playing. I love under 20.5 for Alpi Sengun here. And look, the thing here for him, 19.1 points per game on the season. So we're already asking him to score 2 more points per game than his season average. And if we pull up FanDuel Fantasy Pros, I think a lot of you who are familiar with how team defense versus position kind of works. And that's the point of this site here. I would definitely make sure you check out the link in the description of the video, because if you want to use the same tools that I'm using, they're all linked in there for you guys to pull up yourselves without having to find them. If you pull up centers and you look at which teams are limiting center points by toggling this so that it's the fewest to the least, Boston is giving up the third fewest points to the center position, fewer than 20 per game. And that's for any center that steps on the floor against them, not just the starting center. So we're saying for Alpi Şengün that we need him to get more points than Boston's giving up, more points than he scores per game, and more points than Boston's giving up to anybody who's a center, much less just Alper and Şengün. You see my point that I'm making here. It's just worth it at the number game alone. But in this matchup with the numbers where they're at for Alpi, this is a very good under here. If people want to bet this up to 21.5, please, by all means, be my guest. I will wait for that and hit the under for his points on Friday night. Most of these other games still coming up with the props and haven't had time, as it's pretty late night here on Thursday before, I haven't had the opportunity to look at, say, like the Dallas game. Those just started coming out. So this is the other game that I've had props up for a while. It's the Wizards and the Pelicans. Talk about the least sexiest matchup you can imagine. Did you guys know the Pelicans have the worst record in the NBA? They are the worst team in the NBA right now after their loss by 11 points to the Miami Heat the other night. So what am I looking at here? A couple things in this Washington Pelicans poo-poo game on Friday. First of all, I'm looking at CJ. CJ is a guy who's been taking too many shots. He's up at about 20. Let's see, we've got 21, 12 in this one, but then 22, 25, and 16. So he's at about 19 shots per game over the course of the last 5, which is important because over their last 5, it's been mostly the iteration of this team that we're going to see here on Friday night. We've had CJ, we've had Yves Missy, we've had no Brandon Ingram, no Jose Alvarado, and no Zion Williamson. That's really what matters. And we're going to have some Jordan Hawkins as well. But let me pull up NBA advanced stats again and the on-off court stuff. And I've got basically the starting lineup here. We got CJ McCollum, DeJounte Murray, Herb Jones, Yves Missy, and we got to put Trey Murphy out there as well as the 5 that are going to be starting. And basically this 5 over the course of the last 5 games or so, the starting 5 here has played about 17 minutes per game together as a lineup, right? So we know they're going to be out there for about half of the minutes that most of those starters are playing, like Murray, McCollum, Jones, Murphy. They're all going to be up there for about 34, 35 minutes. Half of those minutes are going to be with this 5 exact lineup, which is helpful because that allows us to look at this and go, all right, well, this is really this is an indicative of what's going to happen on Friday night because we've got all 5 of these guys. And what's happened this season when they played with each other is basically that CJ's at about 23 points per 36 minutes, as you can see here. Trey Murphy's at about 22. And that's where both their numbers are. Both of them are at 21.5. But the reason I like CJ a little bit more in this one is the Washington, not a good defense, but it's actually a lot better against the catch and shoot than it is, say, the pull-up shot, right? If you look at them versus the spot-up, they are 10th best limiting spot-up shooter points. And I'm not saying they're good at it. I'm just saying they're better than others. And it's because they're not necessarily doubling down on the ball handler. And that's why I like CJ McCollum, because he's going to have a lot of one-on-one matchups up top at the top of the key. He'll get some Jordan Poole love. He'll get some Bub Carrington, who's actually a very good defender. I don't want to talk trash on Bub Carrington's defense, even for a rookie, but I'm still not worried about CJ's ability to work over the rook, right? So I don't think there's going to be anybody out there. Malcolm Brogdon's not even going to necessarily mirror any of CJ McCollum's minutes, and he's probably the best defender for CJ. So I think he's good for 21.5. The thing that I'm looking at here is he's at about 0.64 points per minute when he plays without Zion and Brandon Ingram, which is the key here, right? And in those minutes, like 23 per 36, well, I think that's what he's at about here. I think we should be projecting him for 23 points in 36 minutes, and I think he'll get that 36 minutes, which is a decent enough edge over 21.5 points, right? He needs 22. We're saying pretty comfortably that we project him for 23 against a very bad defense. That would be where you take CJ in this one. So I'm going to also wait on this one, see what's up with the market pressure. I don't like that not every book even has a bet for him available. This is all very important, and we'll talk about it more on the live show tomorrow for sure. Last bet I'm looking at from this game, I got to bring up Kuz because I know he's on this weird minutes restriction, right? If you look at the last 3 games, and really the last 2, right? Because he's come back from injury in the last 2. Played 21 minutes against New York and only played 22 in that big win against the Bulls the other night. I kind of think he would have been available for more minutes against the Bulls if they didn't win by 18 in that game, which, God, what a blemish on the Bulls that they just got worked over by the Washington Wizards. But more importantly for this one, I think Kuz started the second half of that Bulls game. So he kind of came in and took over. I believe somebody got hurt and couldn't make it in the second half anymore who originally started for this Washington team. But either way, Kuz was able to start in that third quarter. And I think he would have kept playing more, like I said, than the 22 minutes that he got if he was healthy enough. So here's where I'd be looking. I think the threes are the play here for our guy. And there's a couple of things. We always attack the spot up or the catch and shoot guys against the New Orleans Pelicans. That is where they are the worst. I believe they're the worst against the spot up. Excuse me. They are 5th worst against the spot up, not worst. That's my apologies for that. But no, more importantly, they are 5th worst in terms of limiting spot up shooting. Kuz is going to do a lot of that. I think especially with him as a guy who is not necessarily as healthy as he could be. Getting out into transition where he's scoring the majority of his points, not as likely. The pick and roll ball handler stuff, I don't think they'll put him on ball like they haven't been in the last couple games. I still think you just put him out there, wait for him to catch and shoot, and then hit those threes. So I think the threes, which are at a ridiculously high number here, plus 150 on Bet365 for Kyle Kuzma to hit 2 threes. Even if you put him at 24 minutes in this game, let's say he only plays 24 minutes, this is still a good enough number with the juice that we're getting to go over, right? Once again, this is sort of a numbers and odds thing here, just as much as it is a matchup thing against the Pelicans. But all that combines to make a really good bet for Kyle Kuzma to get 2 threes. So I have not hit that one yet either. But odds are good that if this is at least plus 125, plus 130 in the morning, I'm still going to hit this over for Kyle Kuzma. All right, don't forget, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, we got the live show rolling. Hope to see you guys in there. Bring your bets. We'll go over all that stuff together and find the best value and keep finding these winners, man. This live show has been very profitable for not only you, I hope, but definitely me as well, as it's been helpful to find those bets. And if you do want to get a free month in the VIP, so you're not missing any of the bets, much less just the ones on the shows here at night or on the live show, but everything I'm putting out as soon as I put it out, so you get the same number. You can get a free month if you sign up for one of the books that are linked in the description of the video. Got Underdog, BetMGM, Better, Sleeper, all these. So if you don't have one yet, check it out. Use code LYB and then screenshot it and DM me. Just DM me the proof at JLBoogie on Twitter or Discord that you did sign up for one of these books using code LYB, and we'll get you that free month. So best of luck here on Friday. Hope to see you guys in the live show. And until I do, happy betting.